Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this video we're going to talk about the opportunities that abound with the kind of pullback that we've seen. Now, we've seen this before. You might recall in June, twice, we had the opportunity to take advantage of a pullback. Now, this is very reminiscent of the pullback that we saw the second week of June with the big Wednesday, Thursday action, Friday, and then Monday, we kind of took advantage of the minor low that formed. And I'm actually looking for a replay of that very same setup again. So let's kind of expand this idea of not just taking advantage of it on the NQ or the QQQ, but ask yourself, what could I do with this setup on, yes, the futures of the ETF, but perhaps the XLK or the SMH or the XLC, the XLY, the CLOU. So if you see there's a theme with all these ETFs, just like the NASDAQ futures, they're a collection of stocks. And just like the NASDAQ futures, they're going to be sensitive to the same reason the NASDAQ's moving. Now, some of you might be a little bit more interested in some of the variations of an NQ, because with the news that we have now that we've got some of these tech companies squarely in the crosshairs again, in terms of, we have the overall opinion that these are selling off because, the big tech names are back on an election year. Shocking. Back in election year, they're back in the crosshairs, and okay, no problem. We've been through this before, not our first rodeo with this. So if you want to sort of circumnavigate some of this, feel free. If you want to sort of avoid the Amazon, Facebook, Googles, focus on maybe the Apple, Microsofts, it might make sense to take a look at the XLK. All right, now if you're cool with the NAS, that's fine too. So that gives you a couple places to think about. I'm going to show you the XLK ETF here and show you the weighting. So just remember, this has been a merry-go-round of a political, what's that game with the ball and it goes round and round and you hit it? It's almost like volleyball, but it's on a stick. It's totally escaping me right now, but somebody out there is going to remember what the name is. So that's what I'm thinking of, that volleyball on a rope and it spins around on that. That's what this is. It just keeps getting hit back and forth. So what I want to do is also talk about exactly what it is that I'm waiting for, because quite frankly, I'm not all that keen about taking a long position in the NASDAQ or even the QQQ over the weekend, whether that be the underlying futures or calls. I'm not really that keen on it, and I didn't do that the last time. So what is the setup going to look like? Let's zoom in a bit. Because we closed, so let's break this candle down. This is the top of the range, bottom of the range, and then roughly the middle, right? Okay, so we closed, clearly, we closed in the lower 50%. Heck, we closed right near the lows. This wasn't one of those candles that looks reminiscent of, say, this, where we make a low and the market wakes some bulls up, and then we spend the rest of the day rallying. We've seen plenty of those days, right? And I've been taking advantage of those intraday, and they've been fantastic. But this is not that day. All right, what does that tell me? That we're very likely to see some lower lows tomorrow into the weekend, because folks may not want to take the uncertainty of the weekend home long. So that sets up an aggro opportunity here, right, in some sort of support zone on a lower low tomorrow, and it takes advantage of possibly a Monday entry early if we see some weakness again to get those long calls. All right, so that's the pattern. It's really a minor low in a 3-day pattern, especially since this sell-off is right up against the weekend. Exact same thing I did in June. So for those of you that are asking, okay, wait a minute, what was this timing on the June play? So go take a look at the sell-off we saw June 11, that 11th of June sell-off. We waited Friday. I think I might have taken a small number of very aggro positions, because not everything's going to sink into the buy zone around the same time, but it was the 15th of June, that Monday, that we really pushed for the most conservative and most of our long positions. That's exactly what I'm looking at. I'm looking at like a June 11, 12, 15 type pattern once again, only now it's going to be July 23, 24, 27. Okay. In the premium video, we're going to dive into a little bit more detail on the zones and specifically what sectors and stocks I like that are qualifying for a double green pullback buys, what I'm looking to do with gold and crude, 2 positions that we have and have long. I do want to get back into those and continue to manage those. And I'm going to answer a couple questions about also the questions I've received about silver. A lot of questions about silver. So we'll do that in the premium video. Thanks as always, and I'll see you in the next update.